I got a Puma pants. I'm not for sure for how long. One of my primary tenets, understandings, principles for me, this is for me, and I think it's something everybody can examine, but I think there's really one of two camps, and I'm a firm believer in the, how shall I say, the connection of and continuity of consciousness. I truly believe that consciousness is connected in one unified, infinite consciousness. We can call that God, love, source. It can be given many names. Whatever name it's given, it's it's incidental to the quality that consciousness is connected at levels we far beyond our own individual consciousness, and then the continuity of consciousness. I think consciousness is beyond time and space, and thus it's just ongoing, never ending, eternal. And therefore, of course, I would believe, I'm not exactly sure how it works with reincarnation or any of that stuff. That's above my pay grade, but I believe that our consciousness is ongoing. Now, not everybody thinks that, and that's fine. I think it's a beautiful part of our arrangement that people get an understanding of their own understanding. But I, given that consciousness is connected and it continues, that would mean that it's always growing, it's always evolving. And if that's the case, consciousness needs a place to grow and evolve. It needs, well, how shall I say, in my father's house are many mansions is a beautiful way of saying it in the scriptures, but I'm twisting it a little bit because that's what I do. But I'm saying in my father's house are many universities, many places of learning, of growth, of opportunities to continuously evolve, grow, and progress. And seen in that light, so much of what's going on Earth and the fact that there is an Earth is, it makes perfect sense. It also makes, to me, perfect sense that this is not the only university. There are other universities, there are other planes of existence with far different lessons for different levels of consciousness, far below what an earthling faces and far above what we're subjected to. So this earth plane comes with certain core curriculum, I guess you might say. What are some of the things you have to learn on earth? It seems to go along just for the ride. You have to learn how to cooperate with other beings. You have to learn love and tolerance. You have to learn patience. Ideally, we would learn how to communicate. We would learn how to be in relationship with one another. We would learn how to effectively self-express. We would learn moral courage. We would learn to be strong, and we would learn to be self-determined. There's all these core curriculums that are learned on earth. And if they're not learned, there's simply an opportunity. Consciousness is continuing. There's no progressing to a higher plane, to a more advanced university of learning without being appropriately grounded in what's learned here. Now, I've had teachers, and I know there are teachers out there, this is a bit of a controversy, but teachers that just give everybody an A and pass everybody along. But, while they might have their reasons, it doesn't happen on earth. You learn the lesson or you don't. And if you don't, the lessons generally get harder. They get more in your face, my face for sure. And they just become harder and harder to escape. We can run, but we can't hide. We can kick the can down the road, but sooner or later the lesson is learned. And there's also an opportunity on earth. Here's a really fascinating thing about Earth University. You can fail. You can flat out fail, man. You can, and all you got to do is go into any major city and look in their version of Skid Row or the Tenderloin, and there are people who are failing at the game of life. Now, this is not to judge in any way, shape, or form. It's just everybody gets an opportunity to learn, and none of us are perfect, and none of us, if we showed up at Earth University, none of our grade books are clean and unbesmirched and unblemished. We're all here learning something, and of course, that's one of the things we learn is humility. And if there's one thing that's painful to learn, it's humility, because humility's close cousin is humiliation, isn't it? But seen in this light, that consciousness is connected, we're all part of one great consciousness, and that consciousness is continuing, it would make sense that there would be various places we could go to learn. And you might think about today, it's like, what have the greatest lessons of your life been? What have been the hardest things to learn? What's the hardest lesson of life to learn and to assimilate? Death, of course. It seems to be it seems to be something that can't be overcome, and there's no answer to it. But if we stick with it, there'll be answers to the biggest possible questions. We'll come to peace and to understand it. So I'm just building a framework around Earth as a school or as a university. And you might think about the problems that are most troubling for you or the difficulties, and realize that each one presents an opportunity for our greatest growth, and that if we meet it with diligence, with optimism, with persistence, with faith, and if we seek out the answers, that we will most assuredly find them. And then there are some other cool universities to check out. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Have a beautiful day.